This is the algebra non-calculator set B worksheet. Okay, make sure you get the sheet ready and ready to look at it. Let's have a look at what the sheet looks like. This is what the sheet should look like, and we're going to get started on question 1. The main thing to be aware of in question 1 is n is an integer. I need to write down the set of whole numbers between -2 and 2. However, those lines there underneath the inequality sign, they indicate that I'm going to include 2 and I'm going to include -2 in my answer. So my answer starting from the smallest, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. That's my answer. Make sure you write them down and make sure you can definitely get this completely correct. Factorize means to put it into brackets. I need to look at the numbers. What could go into 12? What's the biggest number that can go into 12? And 8. And that's going to be 4. A is common to both of them, so 4a needs to be outside the brackets. You need to think to yourself, 4a times what is 12a squared? 4 times 3 is 12. A times a is a squared, so 3a is going to be inside the brackets. Plus 4a times what is 8a? 4a times 2 is 8a. Make sure you're familiar with that. You can do it, and you're pretty confident with it. Expand means to multiply everything inside the bracket by the number outside. So 3x times 2x, 3 times 2 is 6, x times x is x squared, so 6x squared. 3x times 5, well, it's going to be minus there, but 3x times 5, 3 times 5 is 15, 15x. That's it, straightforward. Question 4, I need to get rid of that 4 over there, so I'm going to take away 4. 10 take away 4 is 6, so I'll get 6x is greater than 6. Divide by 6 now. 6 divided by 6 is 1, so my final answer is x is greater than 1. Make sure you write the inequality signs as you're working through. That is really important. That's a mistake a lot of people make, and a lot of people lose marks for that. We need to complete the table for x squared, take away x. So if you really did study the one in sheet A, you should find this okay. So x squared, I'm going to square x square 2, which is 4, take away 2, 4 take away 2 is 2. 1 squared is 1, take away 1, which is 0. 0 squared is 0, take away 0 is 0. Okay, -1 squared is 1, take away -1, so minus 1 means +1, so 1 plus 1 is 2. You need to write that down to make sure you fully understand it. Please do attempt that, make sure you're totally okay with this. -2 squared is 4, minus 2, which is +2, so 4 plus 2 is 6. Okay, think about it, make sure you're okay with it, make sure you have it in your head, and you're very, very sound with that. Question 6. I need to start off with the letter that the axis represents, and in this case it's x. Do always look out for that. They change that letter. Sometimes it's an N, sometimes it's an X, sometimes it's a Y. In this case it's an X, so I'm going to start off with X, and I'm going to put the crocodiles on either side. But this time, because they're solid, the crocodiles are going to have lines underneath them, right? Because we're including the numbers on either side. I'm going to include 3 and -4. So that's what I write down, 3 and -4. You should be pretty okay with this. Do not lose marks in questions like question number 6. Question 7, times the numbers. 6 times 2 is 12. 8 to the 5 times 8 to the -2. Add the powers, which gives you 8 to the 3. Okay, comfortable with that? Add the powers there. Times out the brackets in number 8, 7y minus 21 is equal to 3y minus 9. Okay, what we're going to do now is bring all the letters over to one side, all the numbers over to the other. 7y is going to stay put, and 3y is going to come across, and it's going to become minus 3y. Equals, minus 9 is going to stay put, and minus 21 is going to come across, and it's going to become plus 21. 7y take away 3y is 4y, minus 21 minus 9 plus 21 is 12. I need to get rid of the 4 by dividing by 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Y is equal to 3. There's your answer. There's your result. The nth term, they're going up by 5, so that's 5n. And if there was a number in front of the 4, it would be minus 1. That's 4 take away 5, minus 1. And 5n minus 1 is my answer for that. With reasons, is the term 144 in this sequence? Well, it's likely to be because you have these 4s in there, 4, 14, 24, but that's not a good enough reason. You need to show the algebra 5n minus 1 is equal to 144, add 1, 5n is equal to 145. Because this number ends in 5, I know it's definitely going to go in there, and I know n is going to be a whole number. So we'll do the maths anyway. 145 divided by 5 is going to be 29. Because n is a whole number, 144 is in the sequence. Okay, that's it. Simple as. Make sure you're comfortable with that and make sure you can do it. Question number 11. We need to factorize this quadratic. I need to think about two numbers that times together to give me 30, but can combine to add up to give me 13. Remember, x and x goes at the front because they times together to give me x squared. I'm thinking 3 and 10 times together to give me 30, and they actually do combine as well to give you 13. It's going to be plus 3 and plus 10. That gives me plus 13. In question 12, it's solve the same expression. I'm going to write down the same numbers but with opposite signs here. Okay, if you get a question that simply says solve, you have to factorize first and then write the opposite signs. So make sure you can do that and be comfortable with that. Question 13. If I do this division first, 35 divided by 7. 35 divided by 7 is 5. X to the 3 divided by x to the 8. Remember, you're going to take away the powers. 3 take away 8 is minus 5. Okay, make sure you're very careful with that and you can do it. Question 14. This is the difference of two squares. You need to be able to spot the square numbers here. 16 is a square number and 81 is a square number. 16g squared is 4g all squared. Take away 81, which is 9 all squared. So when I factorize that, I'm going to get 4g plus 9 and 4g minus 9. That's it. Simple as and pretty straightforward. Make sure you're okay with it and make sure you can do that. Question 15. Okay, I need to make x the subject of the formula. So starting off with x, let's think about what's happening. X, I'm going to take away 2, then the whole bracket there is times by 5, and then all of that is divided by 3. And then that gives me y. So starting off with the x, I'm going to take away 2, times by 5, divide by 3, and all of that gives me y. Now work it backwards. Y times 3, divide by 5, add 2, that gives me x. So I'm going to say x is equal to y times 3, which is 3y, 3y divided by 5, so it's 3y over 5, and then all of that I'm going to add 2 to it. And that's what that looks like. 3y divided by 5, and all of that add 2, that gives me x. Okay, study that, make sure you're okay with it. It's a slight twist on the one in sheet A, but you should be able to do this. Make sure you try it and make sure you have a good go with it. Question 16. I need to get rid of that 5 at the bottom there, so I'm going to times by 5. So I'll get 8 minus, so 5 times 2 is 10, and 8 minus 3x is equal to 10. Get rid of the 8 by taking away 8, so I get minus 3x is equal to 2. Minus 3x is equal to 2. I need to get rid of that minus 3x. I hope you will remember the technique I said. You're just simply going to divide by minus 3, so you get x is equal to 2 over minus 3. That is mathematically correct and you will still get full marks for that. So make sure you can do that and make sure you can get to that stage. Question 17. I need to square all three terms in here. I need to square the 2, I need to square the x to the power 4, and I need to square the y cubed. 2 squared is 4, x to the 4 squared is x to the 8, and y cubed squared is y to the 6. That's it. Bob's your uncle, there's your answer. Question 18. 3 could go into both of those. Yeah, 6 and 9. X is common to both of them, and so is y. So I'm going to have 3xy outside the brackets. Inside the brackets, 3 times 2, so there'll be a 2 inside the first bit, and there's just one x, so x times, well, I don't need to times it by anything, but I have y squared there, so y times y will give me the y squared. So inside here, I'm going to have 2y minus, and 3xy times, it must be 3 to give me 9xy. So that there is pretty straightforward. Question 19, 48 divided by 6 is 8. E to the 4 divided by e to the 9. 4 take away 9 4 takeaway 9 is 5, so, 4 takeaway 9 is minus 5, so it's e to the minus 5. Be very, very careful with that. A lot of people miss out the minus there. It's the top takeaway at the bottom. 4 takeaway 9 is minus 5. And then f to the power of 9 takeaway 2, which is 7. That is it. Pretty straightforward there. Okay, looking at question 20, 2x times x, draw the links in, is 2x squared. 5 times 3 is 15, but it's a minus times a minus, so it's going to be positive 15. Minus 5 times x is minus 5x, and 2x times 3 is 6x, but it's minus 3, so it's going to be minus 6x. Let's rewrite this, simplifying the 2 in the middle. That's the expand and simplify bit. So 2x squared minus 5x minus 6x, so that makes a bigger minus. So minus 5x minus 6x minus 11x plus 15. That's your answer to there. Okay, so these are the results for sheet B. Make sure you are able to do it. Rewind this, look through them. You should have been able to do a lot more in this one than you would have been able to do when you attempted sheet A first. But please do try it again and make sure you understand them all fully.